It's International Women's Day on Monday the 8th. Welcome to Kaleidoscope with me, Savithri Rodrigo, and our All Women program. On our backdrop, we will be highlighting women inventors, and who you see here is chemist Stephanie Kwolek, the inventor of Kevlar, who in 1965 invented the material which is 5 times stronger than steel and is used in everything from armored cars to bicycle tires to body armor and even frying pans and musical instruments. Speaking of musical instruments on Singer Life in 60, we feature probably Sri Lanka's only female saxophonist. Chat with the MD of an award-winning corporate citizen, and in similar vein, a young entrepreneur who believes in community-based social enterprise. That's on our People's Bank News Capsule, and bring together the peace prompters in extracts of the panel discussion we had on day 1 of the Kargil's International Women's Day Festival of the Changemakers. As we focus on women inventors this week, let's take a peek at the humble life raft. In the past, lifeboats were not too effective in SOS situations, and it was common to die at sea. In 1882, American Maria Beasley, at the age of 35, invented and patented a new design for life rafts, which had guard railings and rectangular metal floats. Now, on with our Kaleidoscope snapshot. With Sri Lanka's borders opening, earnings from tourism in January was recorded at $3.6 million. The central bank indicates that Colombo land prices rose 4.6% in the second half of 2020. India and Japan are to develop the West Container Terminal as a public-private partnership on a 25-year build, operate and transfer basis. Sri Lankan Airlines carried a record-breaking cargo volume of 1.2 million kilograms to the Maldives in February. The World Bank reports that women get only about 3/4 of the economic, social and legal rights given to men. The doors at the world's most famous recording studio, Abbey Road Studios, sold for £17,500, 4 times more than the expected price. As we bring on our People's Bank News Capsule, highlighting women inventors on our backdrop, there's Grace Hopper, a Rear Admiral in the US Navy who was at the forefront of inventing computer programming language. In 1959, she was a co-inventor of COBOL, or Common Business-Oriented Language. The Ceylon Chamber of Commerce, in its annual Best Corporate Citizen Sustainability Awards, spotlights those companies that strive to make a tangible difference through their sustainability agendas. This year, Ceylon Biscuits Limited, which has in the past been recognized as a top 10 corporate citizen, bagged the plum accolade of Best Corporate Citizen 2020. I caught up with Group Managing Director of CBL Group, Shreya Vikramasinghe, and asked her how CBL actually walks the talk of corporate citizenship.
Corporate responsibilities actually been integrated into our business focus. So one of our key focuses is social upliftment and poverty alleviation, and we do that because we are already working with over 10,000 farmers, and these are some of the most marginalized people in Sri Lanka. We try to see how we can uplift their value, and especially because agriculture being such an important. So for us, agriculture supply chain plays a big role in upliftment, and with that, right along our supply chain, we look and see how can we as a corporate enhance the value proposition of our stakeholders who are not directly employed but indirectly form very much a part of the business.
The Colombo stock market was lackluster as it began the week, having some choppy days with turnover at its lowest in 9 weeks. This week too, the all share price index continued to fall, dropping by 5.8%. Average daily turnover was also weak at 2.3 billion rupees. India has called on OPEC Plus to drop the artificial cuts in oil production and let prices stabilize. Middle Eastern oil producers desperately need higher oil prices to reduce deepening deficits. WTI oil is currently down from its record high of $63.53 per barrel to $61.88 per barrel. Gold prices fell further this week amid rising US bond yields. On a week-on-week basis, gold has fallen by approximately 2%. Gold is currently trading at $1,719 per ounce. With the Kaleidoscope spotlight falling on women this week, here's a young entrepreneur who decided to start up a social enterprise focused on community-based sustainable development in the village of Kengala. Here's I Am Upcycled's Savithri Rodrigo with her story.
Green Life Generation is a community-based social research, sustainable development and alternative education organization aimed at building a just and greener world. The starting point was my PhD research into the lives of Sri Lankan migrant domestic workers. This, combined with the local waste problem and global climate crisis, birthed the ethical brand I Am Upcycled. Described as a community-empowering zero-waste mission, the project provides secure employment opportunities for local women through a flexible, cooperative, redistributive, circular economic model. This is an alternative to insecure self-employment and exploitative profit-oriented business models. Our products include gift, packaging, stationery and party alternatives made from wood, paper and cardboard waste. All our products are handmade using what we call green technologies that strive to reduce the carbon footprint and the adverse social and environmental impacts on our communities, country and the planet.
21-year-old Jasmine Harrison became the youngest woman to row solo across the ocean this week, rowing 3,000 miles from the Canary Islands to Antigua, completing the feat in 70 days, 3 hours and 48 minutes. An 81-year-old German woman decided to beat the pandemic blues and become a TikTok star, posting videos of her fitness regime including planks, pull-ups and even dancing in a bid to inspire others to stay fit. We'll be back with the peace prompters on Srilanka Life. Let's talk.
With Srilanka Life Pension Saver, Sri Lanka's premier retirement plan, start planning for a retirement today. Srilanka Life, a relationship for life.
Even though it has been 21 years since the UN Security Council passed a resolution on women, peace and security, nothing much has changed. Women are disproportionately impacted in conflict, and we know that now more than ever, having been through a war, various insurgencies and riots along the way. Day one of the festival was a discussion with the peace prompters, 3 young women who have navigated language barriers, racial, ethnic, religious and cultural demarcations beyond gender dimensions to facilitate more proactive engagement in the peace and reconciliation space. Here's author and researcher Peace Building and Reconciliation Sara Khabir, writer, researcher and activist Amalini Desera, and Director for Legal and Advocacy NCEASL Yamini Ravindran on Srilanka Life. Let's talk.
Amalini, there is a lot of rhetoric about women being agents of change, there's a lot that women can do, etc., etc. But how does that actually translate to women on the ground? Are they actually given a chance to be a part of the peace and reconciliation process?
Women are some of the most active in engaging with their communities, in creating conversations, in creating safe spaces. So much of what I know and I've learned I owe to like small women's groups in whether it's in Puttalam or Jaffna or Batiklo and people like that who are on the ground, who are not just having conversations about bringing, say, Muslim and Tamil women together, but who are actively supporting maybe war widows or women who are facing domestic violence and things like that. So in terms of that long-term sustainable change, women are doing so much of work, right? And I feel like it's the media circles and the spotlight, but it's always the few of us in Colombo who get talked about. But there's so much of work going on outside.
Sarah, you've spoken with both the military side and the LTT side for your book. What were your findings when you, not about the men actually, but the role that women played in this whole, in that scenario?
So one of the main things I think that was interesting to me was in speaking to the women from the LTTE in how they saw their status as very equal. They said that their training was done very equal. They would carry these RKG, these rocket propeller grenades, which are huge weapons. that so there was no difference in that sense. But of course, this is talking about violent equality, so it's not the greatest way to be made equal. But with the Sri Lankan military, one of the narratives a lot when I spoke with the men was that, I would have liked to think that it was about safety for women, or but it wasn't. The conversation was mostly about the fact that women lacked the skills or the sort of ability to work in complicated situations. That was sort of the narrative that came, especially from the Air Force, actually. So yeah, I mean, there was quite a stark difference, but what is really interesting is today, in talking to them, there is a similar gap in how much we have done to translate their roles from during the war to what they are today. Both from the military side and the LTT side, they struggle a lot with their new roles and responsibilities in everyday society.
The education process leaves out a lot of our history, which we should, again, to look forward, you need to look back, learn the lessons and move on, but it cannot happen the way it is. How do we change this, since it's never going to happen in an official capacity? How do we then change it in a way where education, this kind of education, becomes a priority?
So what I would encourage people involved in this work at a community level, at a national level, is to find non-traditional and innovative interventions to kind of do that. So for example, right now, at the NCESL, we are working on an intervention where we are about to launch a virtual museum addressing freedom of religion or belief in Sri Lanka, and looking at key events which are positive and negative, and even events where communities came together, so coexistence. Because like you said, Savithri, history, a lot of history is biased history that is being taught to the kids. So we need to be able to bring in that alternative narrative and that neutral narrative. So that is one of the things that we are hoping to do.
So Amalini, how do women actually get a seat at the table for peace and reconciliation?
We've seen, we've had two governments doing consultation, asking people how they want things to be done going forward from the conflict. But all those consultations where women have gone forward and made a lot of recommendations, those reports, like many others, are just gathering dust somewhere. So definitely we need more women to actively look to bring those women representative of the various places in this country that have seen some of the brunt of the conflict, to bring them to the policy making table.
Peace may seem an unattainable prospect, but if each of us works as a change agent, think of the difference we can make. Thank you to our peace prompters who appeared on Selinko Live. Let's talk.
With Selinko Life Pension Saver, Sri Lanka's premier retirement plan, start planning for a retirement today. Selinko Life, a relationship for life.
We will return with Saku, probably Sri Lanka's only female saxophonist, on Singer Life in 60. Here's Anne Sukamoto, who holds a total of 12 patents for her stem cell research. And here's Saku, a really cool grandma and really cool saxophonist, besides all the other instruments she plays: piano, guitar, harmonica and various percussion, all self-taught, by the way, all played by ear. Probably Sri Lanka's only female saxophonist. Here's Saku on Singer Life in 60.
Well, how I got into it is somebody came home. His name was Roshan and he had a saxophone. So I asked him, Roshan, can I play this instrument? And he said, okay. And so I played it, and then he said, you can play. I asked him, can I play? And then he said, of course you can play. Nobody has ever picked up a saxophone and played immediately. So I was very excited. I waited and I walked into Yamaha, and there it was, waiting for me to buy it. So I bought it. And here I am without anybody's help. I play the saxophone, I taught myself.
One thing Saku taught me, don't ever say can't. You always can. Thank you, Saku, for the infectious happiness you spread around with your personality and your instruments. That was Singer Life in 60. And don't forget, on Monday the 8th, that's International Women's Day, we will be featuring the pioneers and getting the male perspective as well at the Kargil's International Women's Day Festival of the Changemakers. Write into us to kaleidoscopeweekly1@gmail.com with your ideas and suggestions, and if you would like to keep updated, simply subscribe to Kaleidoscope with Savithri Rodrigo on YouTube or follow us on Facebook and Instagram. Just scan the QR code to get yourselves onto our YouTube channel. Many of you would have got your COVID vaccinations. However, the pandemic continues to make its rounds. So stay safe, wear your mask, wash your hands and sanitize. Amami hand sanitizer will surely keep you safe. So until next Friday, here's a thought on our Kaleidoscope takeaway. Who you are tomorrow begins with what you do today. Tim Fargo.